The real danger is not that you lack motivation. The danger is that you have trained your mind to obey weakness. Every time you delay what must be done, every time you negotiate with discomfort, you are teaching your nervous system who is in charge. And right now, it isn't you. You wake up believing discipline is something aggressive, something harsh, something reserved for monks, soldiers, or men long dead. Jim Rohn warned against this illusion decades ago. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is protection. Protection from the future version of yourself you don't want to become. You already practice discipline every day, just not the kind that builds your life. You are disciplined in distraction, disciplined in excuses, disciplined in choosing short-term relief over long-term power. And the most dangerous part, your brain rewards you for it. But there is a deeper truth we haven't touched yet, and it changes everything. Self-discipline is not built by force. It is built by identity. Jim Rohn understood this better than most. He said success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is a few simple errors practiced every day. Notice the word simple. Not dramatic, not heroic. Simple. Your mind is not designed to massive overhauls. It responds to signals, subtle ones, repeated ones. When you promise yourself something and break it, even in silence, your subconscious records it as evidence. Evidence that your word is flexible, evidence that discomfort can be escaped. Over time, your self-trust erodes. And without self-trust, discipline collapses before it even begins. The first proven technique to enhance self-discipline is deceptively small, and that's why it works. You stop making promises you cannot keep. You lower the volume of your ambition and increase the certainty of your execution. One push-up done every day beats a perfect plan done once. One page read daily beats a book imagined. Discipline begins when your nervous system learns that when you say, "I will," something happens. This is not about productivity. It is about restoring your internal authority. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who cannot command himself will never command others. The modern world distracts you from this truth because a self-governing individual is difficult to control. But here's the part most people miss. Once you regain self-trust, you become dangerous in ways that have nothing to do with aggression. And there is a darker layer beneath this we haven't explored yet. The second technique is learning to delay emotional relief. Not relief. There is a difference. Pleasure is chosen. Relief is begged for. When you check your phone, procrastinate over it, or escape into noise, you are not seeking joy. You are seeking relief from discomfort. And discomfort is the currency of growth. Jim Rohn taught that we must choose between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. But the brain doesn't calculate long-term weight. It calculates immediate sensation. So it feels heavier than it is. Stoic philosophers train themselves to sit with discomfort deliberately. Cold. Hunger. Silence. Not to suffer, but to recalibrate the nervous system. When you voluntarily experience discomfort, you weaken its threat. The mind learns, this will not kill me. And once discomfort loses its threat, discipline becomes possible. Start small. Pause before reacting. Sit with the urge for 30 seconds. Breathe. Let the wave pass. Every time you do this, you reclaim a fragment of your sovereignty. But don't mistake this for self-control alone. There's a more strategic truth coming, and it will make this easier than you think. The third technique is environment design, and it is brutally honest. You are not as strong as you think, and you don't need to be. Jim Rohn famously said you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Today, those people include your phone, your feed, your room, your habits, your defaults. Discipline fails not because you are weaky, but because your environment is designed to drain you. The strongest willpower in the world collapses in a poorly designed system. That's why ancient monasteries were silent. That's why warriors trained in isolated camps. They removed friction from virtue and increased friction for vice. If temptation is within arm's reach, discipline becomes a daily battle, and battles exhaust you, then become trigger, and discipline becomes a background process. Delete the app, change the room. Rearrange your space, not dramatically, intentionally. This is not avoidance. This is intelligence. Machiavelli would call it strategy. Stoics would call it wisdom. Jim Rohn would call it common sense. But even with the right environment, most people still fail. And the reason is uncomfortable. There is a deeper psychological mechanism at play we haven't exposed yet. The fourth technique is redefining your relationship with identity. You act based on what you want. You act based on who you believe you are. If you see yourself as undisciplined, every failure reinforces the story. And stories become prisons. Jim Rohn taught that personal development preceded success. Not tactics, not hacks identity. When you say, I am becoming disciplined, your brain looks for evidence to support or contradict that claim. Every aligned action strengthens the identity. Every misaligned action weakens it. This is why shame destroys discipline. Shame tells you, this is who you are. Growth tells you, this is something you did. Separate behavior from identity. Correct the action without attacking the self. I failed. And start saying, I broke alignment. Discipline becomes repairable, mechanical, calm, not emotional. But here's the unsettling part. Once your identity shifts, people around you will feel threatened. And that pressure will test you more than any habit ever could. And we haven't even touched that danger yet. The fifth technique is learning to withstand social friction. Discipline isolates before it liberates. When you change, the unchanging feel exposed. They may mock you, distract you, subtly pull you back into old patterns. Not because they hate you, but because your discipline reflects their avoidance. Jim Rohn warned that you must stand guard at the door of your mind. That includes guarding it from voices disguised as concern. Relax. Don't be so hard on yourself. You deserve a break. Sometimes those voices are internalized from years of conditioning. This is where dark psychology becomes relevant. Humans are tribal creatures. We unconsciously conform to maintain belonging. Discipline threat belonging. So the mind invents rationalizations to preserve social comfort. You must decide what you value more. Approval or progress. Comfort or command. They're here to hold ground. But here's what no one tells you. Once you endure this friction, something shifts. Respect replaces resistance. Silence replaces mockery. And eventually, curiosity replaces judgment. But there is still a deeper internal enemy waiting for you. The sixth technique is mastering boredom, not stress, not fear. Boredom. Most people don't quit because it's hard. They quit because it's dull. Discipline is repetitive, quiet, uncelebrated, and the modern brain is addicted to novelty. Jim Rohn emphasized consistency over intensity. Intensity burns bright and dies fast. Consistency looks unimpressive until it becomes unstoppable. The disciplined life is not dramatic. It is deliberate. Train yourself to finish tasks even when emotion leaves, even when excitement fades, especially then. This is where discipline separates from motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is contractual. You act because you said you would. When boredom no longer controls you, you gain access to a level of focus most people never touch. But be warned, this level reveals something unsettling about your past. And that truth is coming next. The seventh technique is confronting time honestly, not managing it, respecting it. Jim Rohn said time is more valuable than money because you can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Yet most people live as if time is infinite and discipline can wait. Future pain is invisible. Present comfort is loud. Discipline is the act of making the invisible visible. You imagine the cost. You visualize regret. You rehearse the consequences of delay. Not to scare yourself, but to wake yourself up. Machiavelli believed foresight was the defining trait of power. To see the outcome before it arrives. When you train your mind to feel future consequences emotionally, discipline becomes logical instead of forced. And now we arrive at the most dangerous truth of all. Discipline is not about becoming someone new. It is about removing the layers of indulgences beneath you already are, beneath the excuses, beneath the weakness you've rehearsed for years. You were never broken. You were distracted. And here is the final paradox Jim Rohn lived by. Discipline creates freedom. The more disciplined you become, the less effort life requires. Decisions simplify. Identity stabilizes. Confidence becomes quiet. You stop chasing motivation because you no longer need permission to act. So here is your call to action, not a challenge, a choice. Tonight, decide one small discipline you will honor tomorrow, no matter how you feel. Do it quietly. Do it consistently. And watch what begins to change. Because the moment you stop obeying weakness is the moment your life stops drifting. And remember the truth we started with. Your problem was never laziness. It was training your mind to obey the wrong master.